to the 2021 Flicks October HorrorFest.
That was a great day at the lake, huh? Man. Oh, hey, what's up, guys? It's Kirk at Lame Flicks Media. I'm here at Can't Kill one more time. We're here doing Creature from the Black Lagoon from 1954, same year Godzilla came out. Classic horror movie. It's the inspiration for countless like rip-offs, countless movies that are similar to it. You got like The Shape of Water is a big one in the modern day. Even characters in stuff, I would say like Abe Sapien in Hellboy, which is another Guillermo del Toro connection. So it's directed by a man named Jack Arnold, and yeah, I watched this with my good friend Noshi on Twitter. So thank you, Noshi, for watching this with me. We also watched Evil Dead together. She's a really close friend of mine, so appreciate you watching it with me, taking the time. So yeah, we start with in the beginning. So they literally start with the biblical beginning, and it's this really cool, like ethereal, abstract sequence. This is where we first see the claw come out onto the ground and kind of scratch the ground, and then we get a quick little bit of the creature. We actually see the creature pretty quick in the movie, so it's pretty awesome. There's some really laughable green screen with our characters on a boat, but I mean, you got to think this was 70 years ago, you know, so it was still a technology they were in the middle of developing, so can't crap on it too much. And yeah, there's actually a really cool bit here where they show you the divers coming up really slowly, and the captain character is like, why do they have to do that? Why do they have to take so long? And the girl is, the lady, Kay, she says, well, it's so they don't get the condition called the bends. And I think at that point in time, it wasn't like a wide known thing, so it was like this weird little creepy thing to put in their horror movie. People like going diving and stuff like that and not knowing what they're doing could really hurt themselves. So I guess this is also a little bit of like a PSA, like scuba training, like train before you go scuba diving, please. So we establish our couple, who are David and Kay, and they're two archaeologists essentially, and they help this older scientist with his excavation. So the couple is brought to the site and they show them the proof of this claw and this insane like dinosaur looking hand that they pull out of a rock. And then yeah, here we have the classic rich and less experienced scientist whose name is Mark. Like the assholes from Twister is who I kind of relate his character to, or Harry Osborn from Spider-Man 2, who's like the rich guy who thinks he's a scientist but not really. And then here the expedition is set, so our characters have all seen the evidence of this creature they want to find, and now they're all going to go and do it. And the plot is actually kind of referenced in Up, the Pixar film Up. How there's our main character, and Carl, I think was his name, and his like hero was this famous archaeologist guy, and he was obsessed with finding this thing so deeply that he drove himself mad and stayed there forever. And so it was kind of like a different version of the Creatures from the Black Lagoon plot with the humans, at least. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's a cool little reference to movie history in Up, and it's also a similar plot where they're trying to find this creature who, instead of a fish monster, it's like a Fruit Loops ostrich. So then here we get the first attack. The creature attacks a native who's working for the archaeologists, and the noise that the creature makes here is so guttural and spine tingling because it's a mixture of like a pig and someone, like a person screaming. It's this weird, creepy mix of sound. And we get some really beautiful shots of the swampy area that they're in. I'm pretty sure some of it was shot in the Florida Everglades. But a cool little bit is if you're ever in Florida for whatever reason and you go to Silver Springs Park, and they have these really cool glass bottom boat tours. So if you end up loving this movie and you have time, go to Silver Springs, take a glass bottom boat ride. It's like $15 or something, and you will see the actual bottom of the lagoon where the creature was swimming in this movie. It's really cool, and as a kid going there and seeing that, I remember thinking, like, I wonder if we're going to see the creature, you know? I wonder if we're going to see the monster, like, swimming around somewhere, because it hadn't all clicked in my mind, you know? It was really, really cool to go see the actual places where the creature had killed people and the creature had been swimming around, walking around, doing its thing. So here David establishes the sizes of prehistoric animals roaming the Amazon. So kind of just giving the idea that we might see something crazy here. You know? The financier, Carl, is trying to get the boys, who pretty much are more of his employees there. He's trying to make contact with them, not realizing that the one guy was killed by the creature. They find the man dead in a tent, and then here Kay is waiting outside the tent because women can't handle violence. The creature almost gets Kay here. The creature is standing right behind Kay, and he's reaching his claw out, and then someone calls her name or something, and she walks away. So it's just really creepy. I imagine back in the day it was really suspenseful. So then it's here that David theorizes the remains of this fossil that they found, the hand of, may be at the dead end of the Black Lagoon. But the boat captain, I think his name's Lucas, he says it's a paradise. The Black Lagoon is a paradise, but no one comes back to prove it. We get the introduction of our spear gun, so it's kind of the weapon of choice that our characters are going to have. It reminded me a lot of director John McTiernan addressing Jesse Ventura carrying the minigun in Predator, where it's like, it's a little ridiculous, you know? And I mean, the spear gun isn't as much ridiculous as it is just a little bit overkill. It's like, okay, I thought you were coming to find evidence, but you want to take home a trophy. And that's kind of the whole thing in Up. Science versus machismo, I guess, is how you would put that. But yeah, it's funny to me because in the making of Predator, John McTiernan, I don't remember if it was an interview with press or whatever, but someone asked him about why did Jesse Ventura just have this minigun? Like, those are supposed to be mounted in helicopters and stuff. He was like, well, it looked badass. That's pretty much his explanation. We get a little bit of background on Mark and Kay's past, and David struggling to understand why Mark is jealous of them. Sorry about that, guys. I had to move some stuff around and change the lighting a little bit, but we're back. So Kay goes swimming here, and this is where you're kind of like, uh-oh, because we've seen the creature, we know he's out there, but none of our characters do yet. Of course, the creature's not far from where Kay's swimming, so it's got this kind of feel of like the King Kong thing, where he wants to have a female companion, he wants love. In this particular sequence, although it's throughout the movie, the underwater stuff is actually really awesome. There's some really great coverage, especially for the time period, of just underwater footage. And yeah, one of the creepiest shots to me in the whole movie is Kay is swimming in the lagoon, and we get a shot of the creature swimming just underneath where she is, and it's kind of like a mirror image almost, because she's swimming and then he's kind of swimming underneath her. So it's just it's beautiful, but it's also creepy. And then he touches her foot lightly, and she's just kind of like, oh, whatever, maybe it's a fish or something. But they all freak out. They're like, oh, get out of the water, blah, blah, blah. There's a really awesome shot here where after she's up on the boat with everyone, everyone's kind of there, she takes a second to like, after everyone's like, okay, let's move on, she takes a second to kind of think about like, what could that have been? Because it didn't feel like a fish, you know, and you get all this thought process just from a shot of her. So I thought that was pretty cool. Here we get the underwater equivalent of like in Frankenstein or in a classic monster story where the men are all angry and they have their pitchforks and they're just losing their minds. Kind of like that in this. It's a little more subdued and it's not as schlocky, but it's a similar idea that they're pissed off because this creature is messing with them and they're a woman. Yeah, I love that the creature is in a way like toying with them and kind of telling them like, you're in my house, this is my place, you guys are just guests. And then this is where we first see Mark shoot the creature with the harpoon gun. David gets upset with Mark and he's like, hey, we don't need to kill it, like we just want to observe it and study it and all that good stuff. And Mark is very much, like I said earlier, about getting the trophy and being able to say, hey, I killed this monster kind of thing. Here, after the crew discusses this creature a little bit more, we get the first instance of the Gillman name. Now, the Gillman I always took when I was a kid in Monster Squad, which we're going to be doing later, as we don't want to call him the creature, so we'll just call him Gillman. But apparently it's in the original too, so I never really liked the whole Gillman thing. It's kind of cheesy. The creature to me just sounds way cooler. Yeah, then the creature gets on the boat and he is kind of lurking around and no one sees him at first. So then they try to spread some kind of like fish repellent or poison in the water to maybe kill it that way so they don't have to like go hunt it down kind of thing. And yeah, at this point in the movie, you're kind of rooting for the creature. It kind of becomes like Friday the 13th, where you're like, yeah, like get these assholes, get these stupid freaking idiots that think they can just manipulate nature. The creature approaches Kay on the beach, and the captain, Lucas, he tries to fight, but he's killed. And then the creature tries to take Kay again. And he falls ill, and the crew net him, and they kind of like capture him. And then they build this water cage to keep the creature locked up so he can stay alive, but so they can also take him. And then the creature waits for the guy standing guard, watching him to fall asleep, and starts looking around. So it shows that he or she, whatever it is, has some level of intelligence. It's interesting to see like the predatory nature of the creature. This guy who's supposedly watching the creature is talking to Kay, and he's telling her like how badly David and Mark have ripped her off of her ideas and her scientific prowess. And it's really funny because like you can tell he just wants her, and he's like hitting on her in this weird way. It's really funny right here. He says, and another thing, and then the creature busts out of, or not busts out of his cage, but you see that he's out. And then as in most monster cases, I think most notably established in Frankenstein, the creature doesn't like light. He doesn't like torches. The guy who was supposed to be standing guard, he kind of like holds this lantern up, and the creature winces away. The guy hits him with the lantern in his head, and it lights the creature on fire. So he's on fire, and they actually lit, I didn't read about it, but you can tell they really lit someone on fire. And I don't know if it was like a shittier, like cheaper version of the costume or whatever, but they did that. It was pretty awesome. And it's really weird here. David decides they should leave naturally after another attack, but then it's right after he argued with Mark, who wanted to leave. So there's this weird back and forth throughout the whole movie of Dave and Mark trying to figure out what they want to do and if they even want to stay there and finish their expedition. Now, of course, the two macho dudes have to show down and fight. And David goes in hoping to help loosen the barrier the creature built. And then Mark, having followed David against David's wishes, sees the creature and shoots him with the harpoon gun again. The creature then pulls Mark down and does the death roll like an alligator. Mark shoots him again, and then David is driven to shoot him, and this shows that David now sees that there's a problem and they need to take care of it, kind of thing. So then Kay sees Mark's body float to the surface as David pulls into the boat. David has the idea to drug the creature like a mosquito with bug spray. David sprays the creature and he misses. He sprays him again and seems to get the creature, but he's still like swimming away. He is climbing up the boat again because I guess they had like limited filming locations. They couldn't go a lot of different places. The effect of having his gills and stuff move as he breathes is kind of creepy and weird looking, but it adds to the whole idea of the creature. The creature finds David and starts to attack, but is gunned down by Lucas and Carl. So he goes to attack David. He's killed Mark and the captain guy, and then the rich guy come in and save them. The creature gets away, but it's ambiguous as to whether or not he died, which I kind of love. They give you this stagnant shot of him at the end, so it's like, is he dead or is he just hurt? I think back then it was probably a little more conclusive. People were like, oh, they killed the monster, that's great. But I don't know. I like to look at things in a more neutral perspective, and like, we humans went in there and screwed with his territory, and he was reacting to that just like an animal would. So I don't think it's fair to call him like the monster or the evil like villain of the movie. It's interesting how people look at this movie. Some people look at it as just straightforward, like another one of the Universal monster classics. Some people look at it as the beginning of a new era of horror where the audience was meant to identify more with the monster. There's a lot of different perspectives on this movie, but it's an oldie. It's black and white. So if you're not into that, you might not like it. I don't know. It's not terribly long. I think it's like 90 minutes or something. But yeah, I mean, if you like old school horror, if you appreciate weird monster movies and stuff, if you like anything like Godzilla or old like Twilight Zone, stuff like that, I think most people would enjoy this movie. But again, it is old, so if you're not into old movies, you might not like it, but I love it. I think it's a classic. The creature is my favorite classic Universal monster. I like the Mummy, Dracula, Frankenstein, they're great, but the creature to me is just so different from everyone else that he's so simple. Like, he's just there. He doesn't have this complicated backstory or origin or anything. He's just there. Like, he's just the creature. And I mean, there's been parodies, there's been references, there's Monsters vs. Aliens has a character, like, I think he's called the Missing Link, but he's supposed to be kind of like the creature, like I said, Shape of Water. So there's a lot of, this movie had widespread influence on a bunch of different stuff. So yeah, check it out. It should be, I think, free to watch on Peacock because it's Universal. So yeah, please watch it. Let me know what you guys think. And we'll be moving on with the HorrorFest. I'm going to go work on my backstroke here at Camp Kill. But yeah, I'll let you guys know if I get the merit badge or not. You guys got the Creature from the Black Lagoon merit badge for watching this review with me. So thank you so much. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.